all military troops will have until September 15th to get vaccinated, according to a memo sent by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to all Department of Defense employees. It could be even sooner depending on developments regarding vaccine approval or the spread of COVID-19. We're being told of a growing resistance of military personnel and their families to mandated vaccines, despite many troops already receiving as many as 17 vaccine protocols. Joining us to talk about both the concerns of our military servicemen and women and the obligation our government has to keep them safe from the virus is friend of the show, former head of Arizona National Guard, General McGuire. Good morning, General.
Good morning.
Morning, Jessica. Good morning, Terrence. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So, General, how is this different from other military experiments using soldiers as test subjects? World War II, mustard gas test, the Tuskegee experiment, and the other experiments that haven't been declassified as of yet?
Well, I think what's very important there is the word experiments. Our soldiers and airmen, sailors, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Space Guardians are not experiments. They're great neighbors, friends, and partners. And they want to feel safe and secure. And there's a lot of questions. When I was a commanding general, the issue was it was an emergency use authorization for this vaccine. We could not make it compulsory. As long as it is an emergency use authorization, I still believe, and I retired just 3 months ago as the commanding general, that there is no legal standing by which they can make the military take the vaccine. That said, once there's a formal adoption, then they would be able to use it like other vaccines, yellow fever, typhoid, and the rest.
And I think because there isn't a formal adoption, because it is still an experimental vaccine, I think that's why we use the word experimental even in that question, because it seems that mandating for these soldiers that they take this vaccine that is still experimental is almost an overreach.
It is an overreach, and it's a crisis of trust in America, not just with our soldiers, but with all our citizens. Terrence, think about this. It is easier to cross the southwest border here in Arizona illegally than it is to get a coffee in Los Angeles County. That is a result of a lack of trust with the media, with the public health officials, and most specifically our politically elected leaders, which is one of the reasons I've decided to throw my hat in. I took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. The letter in front of your name should not be about whether or not you're for protecting liberty and freedom.
So what can some of these soldiers do to protect themselves? Obviously, typically when you sign on to military service, you give your life away. You are now a ward, if you will, or you belong to the government. But what is it that some of these soldiers can maybe do if they don't want to take the vaccine? Is there any recourse?
Well, I think as long as it's listed as an experimental use authorization by the FDA, I think they're safe to not and resist taking the vaccine. I think once there is the lifting of the experimental use authorization, they will be subject to what I would call progressive discipline, which we use in the military, where they first receive a letter of reprimand. And I've always talked about, I personally got the vaccine when I was serving. It's not through coercion, but it's leading with grace and justice, and allowing them to express their concerns, making sure that all experimental protocols have been resolved. And it's why I'm in this thing, ultimately, to turn this around. I need all the people out there to think about going to electmic.com to get things turned around and get somebody that understands this situation and can help restore public trust.
General Mick McGuire, always good to talk to you. We appreciate you coming on the show this morning. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Terrence. Thanks, Jessica. We'll see you. Have a good day.